Well, welcome to my spy for another episode of 40K Brunch Gossip, where the tea is piping and today's tea served with a big old dollop of religious fervor, because we're talking about the Sisters of Battle, or the Adepta Sororitas. I'm very excited because I've heard this here and there, and I have seen a couple. So I'm going to give you the tea of what I got from this data slate that I put out, but I'm glad you came up to my spy. If you enjoy this, turn on that notification bell, subscribe, like, and give a comment where you're watching or listening from. Now let's get into this delightful tea, shall we? Now, the Adepta Sororitas, or the Sisters of Battle, are an all-female division of the ecclesiarchy. Glory be the Emperor, I know. In case you didn't know, though you should, it'd be heresy if you did not, the ecclesiarchy is the state church of our glorious imperium. Well, the Adepta Sororitas are highly trained, fanatical in their worship of the Emperor, and their origins lie during political maneuvering of the Age of Apostasy in the 36th millennium. Think of them as battle space nuns in power armor. I love them. I've seen them a couple times, and my God. Now, let's get into their history, because they roam the battlefield in big sets of power armor and also in tanks shaped like pipe organs. I adore them. Now, we're going to go into all of this because they were originally uncovered by Goj Van Dyer. Goodness me. Now, they are holy warriors, elite shock troops of the Imperium, trained for precision, strength, and religious fervor, and they enforcers of the faith, defending the Emperor's creed and punishing heresy, witchcraft, and apostasy. They are living icons to the Emperor's love and will. Now, they are divided into different orders, like the Order of Militant, Hospitalier, and Dialogus, etc., etc. I'll go into them a little bit later on. But from what I heard, whenever they were first discovered, it was during when Goj Van Dyer, whatever his name is, Vampire, came into power. Back then, they was called the Daughters of the Emperor. All right. And so when Goj Van Dyer seized power of both the Ministorum and the Ecclesiarchy, very brutally, and it was like a big old rain of blood. Anyway, his agents found the Daughters of the Emperor on a planet called San Lior. Well, they were an all-female division, very militant. They would not let him enter when he came with his retinue to treat on them, because he wanted his own forces with them. And so they wouldn't let him in. He said, I spoke for the Emperor. And they didn't believe him. He said, let me prove it to you. I will come in and show you. Well, he did. Now, from what I heard, little speculations, little here and there on this part. However, he deceived them. You see, he said, grab your bolter, the guns, right, and shoot me, and I will show you I am protected by the Emperor's grace. And so he clutched his Rosarius. In case you didn't know, that's a personal defense shield. I got one. Everybody has to up here. And they fired. Well, a bright light flashed, as if protected by the Emperor. And of course, all the Daughters of the Emperor immediately lied. This man speaks for the Emperor. And they joined his side. Cool? They didn't know it was a protective shield. Right? Poor girls, poor naive girls, bless their hearts. However, they went to work for Goj Vampire and ended up being his bodyguards. Well, later on in the 36th millennium, Goj is doing like a rain of blood thing. And finally, the Astartes and the Custodes and Militarum are finally done with his ish. So they do a siege of, I believe, the Ecclesiarchy's big cathedral place. But they're thinking it's just a little bit of fanatics. No. That's when they run into the Daughters of the Emperor. I think he had them change their name to the Wives of the Emperor. Anyway. And they faced strong opposition from the wives, daughters, whatever. We're going to stick with daughters for now. And they could not break through. And so finally, a custodes came in and snuck in and took, I think it was, what's her name? Alicia Dominica, one of their bigger ups, and took her and some of her other cadre to the Emperor's throne. Nobody knows what they said and what they saw in there, But what they saw changed their whole minds, and so Alicia Dominica and her retinue went back to Goj Vandai. She drew her power sword and lopped his head off. Girl, that is when the time of the restoration happened. With Goj Vandai, everything started kind of re-solidifying, you know what I mean? And so they then became the orders militant of the Adepta Sororitas. They were no longer the daughters of the emperor, they were no longer the wives of the emperor. They were the Adepta Sororitas, or the Sisters of Battle. Now the Adepta Sororitas, baby doll, that's the overarching term. Not all of them can fight. Not all of them fight. They all can fight. But some of them are dedicated to being healers. Some of them are dedicated to logging information. Now, they are very fanatical. They are very strong in keeping with what they got to do, right? They have living saints like Saint Celestine, who comes down occasionally. They can, through their strong devotion, can have miracles happening like deflecting bolts, protective shields, things like that. And they've taken a part in many campaigns, like the Ophelia 7, the Palestine Crusade, and battles on against chaos, orcs, and tyranids. They have no fear. Now, they have different orders of them, like they have the Order of Our Martyred Lady, which from what I remember is the largest one, the Order of the Bloody Rose, the Ferocious Assault Troops, Order of the Valorous Heart. Everything is very nun-like, right? Now, their non-militant orders are the Orders Hospitaliere, who are the healers and battlefield medics. Their Order Dialogus, which is the linguistics and translators. Ordos Familias, advisors to imperial nobility, so on and so on. Now, there are different battle sisters. They are these ones that have been shunned by the rest, kind of shunned. They are called the Sisters Repentia. Now, those poor girls, they are very much more fanatical battle sisters in the fact that they feel that they have failed the emperor in some way. No, so they strip their power armor. And they get into like little gaggles of themselves, and they're basically just like in leather and a big old chain sword in their gaggle, and will go onto the battlefield and fight ferociously. I know they have no armor on; their power armor's gone, but through self-torture or flagellation, they also perform that too. They feel they can atone for how they feel they've let the emperor down. Glory be, glory be. Now, there are many different other orders, like there's dominions and retributors and canonesses and living saints. They have been very crucial in the defense of the ecclesiarchy. Now, one thing I did forget, this is a piece of gospel by her, because the ecclesiarchy was no longer allowed to have any army. No man shall have no army of men shall be with the ecclesiarchy. Well, they didn't need an army of men. They had an army of women. You know, one of them loopholes, because after Goj was assassinated, they still wanted to have some type of forces to still continue to do the things. And so they kept the Sisters of Battle. And that was during their Reformation. I forgot. And then through a treaty, because the Inquisition does lack very fanatical people to be helping them, and very devout people. And I think there was a Treaty of Nephilim. I saw this on the net. Where the sisters, well, I didn't see it, honey, I'm not that old, but I saw a recording of it. The sisters will help the Inquisition on occasion, because their things align, and the sisters hate heresy, and the Inquisition hates heresy. So, I hope you enjoyed this little overview. These battle space nuns are one of my favorite. They drop down in cathedral tanks. And then they drop down in cathedrals themselves. The tanks look like pipe organs. What's there not to love? Kick ass. Oh, I can't say that. Well, too bad. Kick ass space nuns, battle nuns. I'm sad. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this brief overview of the Sisters of Battle, the Adepta Sororitas. Comment also below who you'd want to hear about next. As always, I adore you. Glory be to the Emperor and to the Imperium. If you enjoy my content, consider becoming a patron on Patreon at patreon.com/ShiningNathan. As always, thank you to all my patrons who make my content possible, because I am funded by my followers, because I prefer to be beholden to y'all. As always, you take care.